Well, this has to be the biggest update that Galaxy of Heroes has ever seen. Now, it took me about 2 hours to go all through this on my live stream last night. Please do go ahead and check it out if you want sort of candid reactions. But what I'm trying to do here for you today, ladies and gentlemen, is try to distill down all the information that we got from CG about the 10-year anniversary and the changes that are coming to the game. We're talking brand new game mode, complete overhaul of how we unlock marquees and gear, changes to the gear economy, Relic 10, how do we get it, as well as the next era, the era of the anniversary and the characters that we're going to be unlocking there. Amazing stuff. Some good, a little bit of bad, and a whole lot more questions. Let's break this down. So here we go, guys. This is their post. There's going to be a link to that down in the description down below. It is a chunky read. There is a lot of information to go through here. I mean, this is practically a book. We are still scrolling. It's kind of wild. How much information we have to break through, but you know, the highlights over here, Spider Legs frickin' Mall, baby. Spider Legs Mall is really exciting stuff. I'm very happy to see that, but we'll get to that in a moment. So, the new era, the era of the anniversary, the big changes that we are going to see. We are going to see a lot of what you see on the screen right now. I'm not sure why Beskar Mando is here. I imagine maybe we're going to see more of him next year. May, his film Mandalorian and Grogu is releasing. We'll probably see some additional Mando content there. But yeah, Stormtrooper Luke coming to the game. We've also got Yoda on Chewie's shoulder. We've got this version of Darth Vader with a broken helmet. Yes, we're going to be facing off against the Hotath. And there's going to be a new mall. All good business. All good business. So it is a 10-year anniversary, guys. If I was to try to distill down, I'm going to try and give you cliff notes first and foremost before we sort of do a little bit of a deeper read into what they are actually saying. Cliff notes version is, let us try and separate two concepts. Your legacy roster, as they like to call it, and the era characters, okay? So when I'm talking about era characters, I'm talking about like right now, if we were to go into the game and we go over to our episode track, we've got the era of the Deadly Pursuit. This lasts 28 days, all right? 28 days of this era right now. And in that 28 days, we are going to be getting, for example, 2 marquees, right? This is episode 2 of Era of Deadly Pursuit. We also had, you know, episode 1, yada, yada, yada. Essentially, anything that's in an era now is going to sit completely outside of the rest of the game. So the brand new marquees, the legendary releases, and all that sort of thing that we get introduced to in an era does not get used in the normal game and does not get geared in the way we would normally gear them, all right? So you will not be able to, for example, use brand new marquee characters as soon as you unlock them in things like Territory Wars, Territory Battles, and Squad Arena, GAC, none of that. They're going to only be used in era game modes, okay? And that will change when those characters become legacy characters, which means at the end of the era, which is usually a 3-month period, right? During that 3-month period, we get 2 characters a month, 6 characters, ends most likely in a journey event. And then after that journey event goes and the new era starts, they become legacy units and we can all use them. There are good and bad sides to that, of course. If you are a whale, you will not be able to immediately take advantage of those characters and use them in PvP and PvE game modes. However, you will be able to use them in the current new era game modes that I'll talk about in a minute that provide you with additional benefits like Relic 10 materials and a great way to gear up new characters. We will get onto that in a bit as well. So there are pluses and downsides. Yeah, on the plus side, people can look at it from the free-to-play perspective and be like, oh, that's okay. I'm not going to be facing a guy who's got the brand new era units right now, straight away in GAC. Candidly speaking, it shouldn't really matter because a lot of these units are not going to be there anyway. You're not going to see a heck of a lot, and usually it really matters at the end when we've got a full dynamic team available, and we could throw them in with the new legendary unit. So you'll still be seeing that element come through because once the legendary unit comes out, they'll go into the legacy. With that being said, there are going to be some changes in this era system due to the era legacy system changing some of the events. For example, galactic challenges are being removed. We are no longer doing galactic challenges. This one was great, by the way. Quadruple rewards. I haven't even done it yet and I'm at level 50. So quadruple rewards, this was fantastic. These are now going to become era challenges, okay? So you'll only be able to play these on the off week. So do you know how currently we have got error battles, right? Error battles are still going to be a thing. On the week during which a new marquee is released, you will not have an error challenge, okay? On the next week, you will have one error challenge, and across the entire week that it is active, you have to try and score, basically like your Galactic Challenge, the best you possibly can. And that's where all the episode points will be converted to. Okay, it'll be sort of combined with error points, essentially, to help level up your characters, marquee characters, as well as progress in the episode pass and stuff like that. So you're not losing the episode points. They're just being moved to error battles. Now, error challenges, sorry. Now, in the error challenges, you will only be allowed to use the error characters, and they might give us some loaned units or summoned units to help support. If we've only got one character so far in the error, they might give you a little bit of support characters if needed, right? That means it should cut down on the time. You won't be doing 2 or 3 galactic challenges a week or anything like that. You won't be doing multiple tiers. It'll be just, how quickly can I go? How high of a tier difficulty can I do? Can I beat it straight away or not, right? Everybody should be able to compete at some degree. All right, so that's one thing. And the second thing is the new game mode, which is going to be Coliseum, all right? Think of Coliseum as sort of a mini raid boss where you can only use error characters in there. You will be thrown into what's known as a little error shard, similar to how in Squad Arena and Fleet Arena, you get thrown into a shard of characters. The Squad Arena used to be 20,000 characters, all going in here, competing against each other. Same sort of concept, completely randomized. Every single error, you go into a new group of people. We don't know how many people. And the idea there is to who can essentially place the highest score against a daily rotating boss within the Coliseum. You can only use the error characters to do this, so people that invest more in unlocking and gearing up, well, not necessarily gearing up, leveling up these new error characters are likely to have better scores. Now, we can't use mods or anything like that. It's totally in isolation, trying to be fair in terms of you can't use the rest of your roster to help support this. It is only basically what you have earned through your crystals, what you've earned through spending real-world money on gaining additional stars in those characters to help level up those characters. Now, free-to-play can still absolutely compete and still get good rewards. Let's take a look at it. So before we go, I guess we can talk about this. This is what we're talking about, how an error has got 3 episodes. Every 2 weeks, you're going to have a new marquee. And in between error challenges, that's that 1 week galactic challenge replacement where you can use your error characters, essentially. And at the end, you get the error journey guide. Now, the error journey guide character is actually going to be able to be unlocked now, I believe at 4, 5, and 6, and 7 stars. So you can even get them without maxing out your characters. You can get them super early, which is really cool. And you can get them before you've even got all the marquees released. Really, really cool change. Now, this is our first error that we're getting in this new setup. We're getting 6 new characters and some really cool ones. Stormtrooper Luke, awesome. He's going to be a new lifter for Rebels, early game Rebels. So before you get your Galactic Legend Leia Organa, you can use Stormtrooper Luke with Stormtrooper Han, R2-D2, Princess Leia, that sort of character setup, even Old Ben and things like that. Really cool there. IG-90 is going to be a fantastic addition to Dr. Aphra, Dark Side Scoundrel Droid Tank, the perfect setup to lift Aphra to some viability. Yoda and Chewbacca is giving a much needed lifter to Tarful's Wookiees. I really didn't see that one coming. I don't know if you'll also get the Jedi tag, hoping so. We're also getting Asajj Ventress, Dark Disciple. She's going to be lifting up Boba Fett, Scion of Django, which is really, really cool as a guy that really enjoys Boba Fett, Scion of Django. Then we're getting Inquisitor Barriss, who's going to lift the Inquisitors to a certain degree. Not quite sure how this is going to fit in the long run, but I do think that she's going to be a temporary stand-in unit as well for people using the Stranger, needing a dark side unaligned Force user. And finally, Dual End Darth Vader over here. This one I believe is from the Kenobi show, from when Darth Vader fought Kenobi. Now, really, really cool. He is the replacement for Starkiller in an Emperor Palpatine team. Really excited about this one. Can't wait to see these kits. And they all lead up to a legendary release of Spider-Legs Maul, Spooder Maul. Can't wait for that. That's going to be awesome. Now, I don't know if I'm probably reading too much into this, but maybe the release is going to be Luke, IG, Yoda. But maybe it's going to be Luke, Vader, Barriss, and then IG, then Yoda with Chewbacca, or Choda, and then Asajj. Don't know what order they're going to release in just yet. I think it's going to be left to right. finishing with Darth Vader. So as we talked about, essentially your era characters are going to be completely isolated from the rest of the game. You can see over here, this is your new sort of era level, right? If you can get up to a maximum of level 95, these characters will have individual levels, probably based on the various feats and era challenges and how you do in Coliseum and stuff like that, that level up these characters, okay? They will not be able to be used in any other game mode until they become legacy units, and you will be able to then move those characters and they will have basically the equivalent level of gear and relic levels based on how far you take them in era levels. I'll show what that looks like in a second. So yeah, as we talked about earlier, the journey guide event that you get from each Marquee era now, you'll be able to unlock it at 4 stars. So even free to play can do this, just by using a bit of crystals to bump a character from 3 star to 4 stars. Do that for all your characters and you'll be able to get the journey guide character at 4 stars. That's a really, really cool change. It means that you don't have to constantly wait. Yeah, sure, you won't be able to get them to super high relics or anything like that, but even just having the access there for the characters, I feel is a really good move, just to help people experience the game a little bit broader. So you just need the first 5 era marquees. You don't even need all of them. You just need the first 5 at 4 stars. That's amazing. And you get to era level 45. And then obviously to get 5 stars, you need 5-star characters. To get to 6 stars, you need 6-star characters, and 7-star, you need to get all of them to 6 or 7 stars, depending. Okay, just the last bit. Now, the last bit I do want to point out about these journey guide characters is they say a significant time after the era has ended, the journey guide character will become a legacy event, but it will have different requirements as marquees will no longer be era units. So I don't know how that's going to change. Are they going to have us require it at relic levels as well, not just era levels for the characters? Unclear. So the era level system, you can see it here in this new screenshot over here. This is what leveling up a character is going to look like right now for new marquees. No gear, no abilities. You will essentially have level up points come from this new era currency over here that you can spend on your characters, and as they level up, they will unlock ability upgrades, unlock gear upgrades, unlock level upgrades, all that sort of good business. Really, really good stuff. And that will translate when the era ends and the character becomes a legacy character. Again, we'll show you what it looks like in a sec. So in order to hit different levels on a character in terms of era levels, stars are required. To get to level 66 and above, you need to have 4 stars. So this is not the same as an in-game level 66. It's very different. Okay, so even if you're at 3 stars, you can still get a Gear 12 Marquee character for free. Free, guys. Absolutely free. Freaking incredible. Okay, if you get to 5 stars, you can go to level 76 on the era levels. If you get to 6 stars, you can go to level 86, and 7 stars is level 91 plus. Now, I imagine the monetization structure that they have for marquees isn't going to change. We're still going to have, you know, era packs and marquee packs. We're still going to have the potentially the crystal packs to boost, you know, the 5 and 12 shards, the surge packs, and we'll probably maybe even have those ascension packs for marquees that they have as well. So there'll be ways of getting them. And that can translate into additional levels on the era, which will then translate into more gear and more relics on your character at the end of the day. So they're saying we're going to need a variety of era materials to upgrade a unit's era levels. You can see this one over here. Don't know what else that's going to be. These are earned from participating in the era through Coliseum and Marquee events and journey events and the episode track milestones. All purchased from the store. Now, I imagine purchase from the store that's probably not going to be like required. I imagine that's kind of similar how we've got the Era Pass Plus that gives you 20 levels in the episode track, that sort of thing. I imagine you, like they're saying, we'll get to in a second, but they're saying that even a free-to-play person over here, you can see it down here, they're expecting free-to-play people, they expect most free-to-play people should be able to hit Era level 65 on all their characters, which means level 85, Gear 12, and ability level 7. So no Zetas or anything like that, no Omicrons obviously, but if new marquees that we're unlocking are going straight to Gear 12, even at, 3-star Gear 12, you're saving yourself 300 Chirotech per character there, because every new character that comes to the game has got 400 Chirotech. You're saving 300 Chirotech, you're saving everything that you'll have to put into all your training droids, all your credits, all your Carbantis, your stun guns, your Chirotech, your not necessarily your Gear 12 Plus pieces or anything like that, but a whole load of gear that you don't have to spend at all. At all. It's really the really positive change. People that get to level 80 will get a Relic 2 character at the abilities level 7. Now, Relic 80, they are at level 80, you're saying that's 5 stars. Yeah, so get the character to 5 stars, which right now, depending on who you are, is possible, free to play, if you save up enough crystals and you use them on Marquee packs and you pull your shards, and is very possible with a low level of spending, just by getting things like the Error Pass and maybe a 5 pull, right? So that sort of thing is very achievable right now. You'll be able to get Relic 2 straight away, day 1. And if you go all the way to the max, the maximum release you can get for a brand new character is going to be Relic 6 with Zetas. So people that wail on 7-star characters for Marquees are going to get Relic 6 characters unlocked straight away. This is such a huge, monumental change to how much progression you get out of essentially wailing on a new Marquee. It is a real positive change in terms of those people that spend money. But even if you're not spending money, getting Gear 12 characters right out the rip is so good. Not having to have additional Chirotech worries. You can use all those Chirotechs, all those bits of gear, either on converting into new relic materials that we'll talk about in a second, or upgrading your legacy units to get them up and running. Really positive change. So you can see how it transfers over here. Level 27 means Gear 6, level 28 means Gear 6, but probably more stats, more abilities unlocked. 29 going up to Gear 8, 7, yada yada yada. We'll be able to see all of that as it progresses. They did also say that in an era you will immediately unlock all of the Marquees. Now that's the first time you log in, so I imagine you won't be able to use those until they're actually formally released, but essentially if you come in, so if we look back here, if you jump in to an era and you come in at Marquee 5, they're saying what will happen is you'll get Marquee 4, 3, 2, 1. You'll get them all straight away. So if you've missed it, don't worry about it. Now, obviously, you'll want to be part of it if you're over here because there'll be various, era challenges and there'll be Marquee events that give you more shards and more points and all that sort of stuff. So you'll want to be there the whole time, but it's a really nice catch-up mechanic, for people that weren't there at the start. Or maybe they went on holiday and they didn't have time to play with them. Frankly, maybe they didn't want to play. You still get all of the Marquees. Really, really cool change. So moving on to Coliseum then. This is the brand new game mode that we are getting that can only use error characters. This looks really cool. You can see we've got a Hotaz over here. Here's all the new Marquee characters. Obviously all the artwork is already done. Really happy about that. This is looking sick. It's only level 10. We've got a score meter, kind of like a raid boss. I mean, these can't be their actual abilities, I'm sure, but hey. It's still a whip right now, guys, a work in progress. You can see a little bit about what we can earn. Some crates, don't know what's in that crate. This is obviously error currency that we'll use to level up our characters and stuff like that, and usable in the error store, I imagine. I would like those 39,000 crystals, please, CG, if you could. And you can see, this is how it's going to go. Every day, it's going to rotate through these different bosses. Every day, you'll be able to place a score. You don't have to. You don't have to place a score, and it uses what's known as a high watermark. So let's say you put in a 10,000 point score. Let's ignore what 10,000 points means or look like, because I don't know. If you put in a 10,000 point score on a Monday versus a Hotaz, right? When you come back next, that score, high watermark, will still be there. So you could either say you've taken your error character from 4-star to 5-star. Maybe you go back in and you're like, oh, I had 10,000 before, now I've got 15,000. But if you don't feel like you can beat it, you don't have to do it again. And then same thing goes for the next day and the next day and the next day. You'll be in that shard of brand new people. All right? So the Coliseum is a new game mode, the first error mode to be added to Galaxy of Heroes. Unlocking at player level 10, this game mode pits individual players against formidable foes from the Star Wars universe. Bosses rotate daily, with players attempting to achieve new high scores each day. These high scores earn rewards in 2 ways. One-time rewards for reaching certain milestones that reset at the end of each era, and daily leaderboard rewards for competing against other players' high scores for the day. So that's exactly what we were looking at here, I believe. When we looked at this, so this is going to be your high watermark, I think. Your high watermark. I'm assuming if you do 10% of the damage to the boss, you'll get 500. If you do 20%, 1,000, etc., etc. Now, those are sort of like one time you've hit them, you've got those rewards, congratulations, well done you. But also, the other side of it is going to be on the leaderboards for your shard, right? And you'll say, oh, I got into the top 10 of my shard, and there might be additional rewards, similar to how when we look at you know, a squad arena, for example, and you go into the reward section over here, maybe you'll be up here and you're like, oh, I get additional episode currency over here. Or something like that, right? Era currency, sorry. Now, we don't know exactly what that looks like yet. I'm sure we will soon. This is coming on the 18th, so it's in 2 weeks' time, guys. The Coliseum leaderboard is one of the primary places to earn Relic 10 mats, guys. Relic 10 materials coming within Coliseum, and it comes from the leaderboard, not the daily objectives. Those are going to have, to a certain degree, you know, a little bit of parity. They'll go hand in hand, because if you score really well on your daily, you'll probably be placed on the leaderboards regardless, right? But don't forget, you get 5 battles a day, and I'm assuming it's like raids where you can choose to accept it or you can choose to leave it. You want to probably go in every day to try and place as high score as you possibly can to compete in the leaderboards. But if you are too strapped for time, or maybe you're just not that competitively minded, you could just skip it, I guess. Yeah, so we get randomly assigned into era shards. They're going to rotate every time. You don't have to worry about things like shard mafias, because nobody can stop you from climbing or anything like that. Like in Squad Arena, somebody can block your path, somebody can deliberately knock you down, that sort of thing. You're not going to have that same issue, because nobody can stop you from placing a score, you know? The only thing that's going to matter is, are you in a bracket with a boatload of whales, or are you in a bracket with a boatload of free-to-play, or are you in a bracket of boatload of people that just don't care? That's going to impact how much Relic 10 mats you can get, and I think that's a relatively fair way of doing it. You know, it is a pretty fair way of doing it, because this game is obviously going to encourage spending. And frankly speaking, if you are spending, you should probably be getting some sort of kickback for spending and keeping the game alive. So it kind of makes sense to me. Kind of makes sense. Now, I would like to reserve judgment and find out just how skewed this is towards whaling, because you still want to have access to Relic 10 across the board. It just depends on how much and where that gets allocated, right? Players will be randomly assigned to a new shard at the end of each era, giving everyone an opportunity to prove their mettle against a variety of opponents. We also don't know how big a shard is. Is it going to be 10,000 people? Is it going to be like a GAC shard, where it's just like a bracket of 8 people? Who knows? And you can see the first set of characters there. The Yotas, the Zephotoon Guardians, the Dryax, and the Pirate ATST. Really cool. So era challenges, as we were discussing there, they are replacing galactic challenges. It should minimize the amount of time that we need to spend, because it's just every other week you've got one to do, and they only require the new era units. So you go in, you do the best you can, and you're done for 2 weeks. It's kind of cool. So they go on to talk about the time in game. They said, look, we know that we are introducing new game modes, and there's going to be a little bit of creep in terms of how much time is going to be needed from us to keep on doing this sort of thing, right? Which is a fair comment. The game already takes a lot of time. And I don't really think at this point they're doing enough to cut down on that time in game, especially because, to me, the biggest drain right now is Conquest and TB. In particular TB, because Conquest you can blitz through. Sure, it's a bit of a front-loaded event. For a late-game account, you can blitz through it in like 2 to 4 days, depending on how much you are refreshing your energy and how effective you are and how big your roster is. And after that, it's a complete walk, right? You just sim it. But TB is one that just gets more and more time consuming the bigger the guild is, funnily enough. Like, as you are progressing, sometimes like the phases 3 to 5 can take so long just because you're doing so many battles, and if they keep on introducing new planets and stuff like that, that's just going to extend that time even further. Now they go on to say that Relic Delta should help alleviate some of that issue. I don't personally prescribe to that, because in a late game guild, if you're in sort of that point in time where you don't even need to do the battles in phase 1, you're not saving any time there. And then when you start climbing up the phases, the benefits from having a positive Relic Delta just get smaller and smaller, right? So phase 2, you're going to have, like in the best case scenario, you're going to have like a Relic Delta of 4 or 5, right? That's going to increase your damage output, but sure, what happens when you get to phases 3 and 4? All of a sudden you're still facing characters that are like Relic 7, Relic 8, and then eventually Relic 9. So the parts that have the most time in them, which is the later stages, you're not going to have any benefit from Relic Delta, or you're going to have very little. Even if you've got Relic 10, that's only going to be a 5% boost on the later stages. It's not going to make a material difference to the amount of time that we spend in game in TB. So I think more needs to be done for TB. But the era challenges replacing galactic challenges is pretty good. We're doing less galactic challenges, just one every 2 weeks is you know, normally you do 4 galactic challenges in that same period. So yeah, they say that Relic Delta will make TB and Conquest you know, less micromanaging during the encounters. Sure, you'll be able to put certain things on auto, but I don't think it really helps TB enough. They do say, though, that they are going to be looking at more stuff in the future, whether they can help us a little bit more in the future. I hope they really do, particularly with TB. Conquest, I think, is actually okay for the most part, but TB really does need an overhaul. They are doing a change to the cantina as well, the actual default place. They're bringing things a little bit more fore and center. So Coliseum is going right in the front, and new marquees in the arrow are going right in the front as well. This makes sense. Campaigns, so Cantina and Light Side and Dark Side, all going over here. That makes sense to me. I imagine they do say that they're going to do more to overhaul this and make it a bit fresher. I look forward to that when it comes to it. So here they talk about future seasonal content when we have when we're trying to do era content like Coliseum, for example, but we've only got one marquee. They're going to give us loaned units. That's kind of like the event units that we get. These are going to be based on legacy units, but not necessarily the same. They require no input from us, no investment from us. They are just standardized units and we just use them, right? They say until they've got the loaned units, we're just going to have summoned units in the Coliseum that can provide a better and more well-rounded combat experience. So when we've just got Stormtrooper Luke, for example, we'll probably get 4 loaned units or summoned units into that game mode to help us create a score. They do note as well that they do want to bring a PvP mode to eras in the future. This has me a little bit concerned. The reason this has me a bit concerned is I don't know how you make a PvP game mode only using characters from an era system and you make it entertaining. Because we can't use mods, we can't use datacrons, and there is a very small, limited, restricted pool of characters that we're going to be able to engage with. How do we make a game mode that is not almost entirely RNG based and no way for you to really get an advantage or get an edge? Obviously, you can do that by just, oh, I just wailed on the character to 4, 5, 6, 7 stars, right? But that's not really fun, is it? It's not just like, unlucky nerd, you've faced off against a whale who's just wailed on the character and yours is still 3 stars, so you just auto lose. Like, I don't know how you make that fun. Now, I'll leave that up to CG to rattle around their brains to figure out how are they going to make that PvP game mode fun without it making it look just like, you know, a whale fest. And then what happens when you've got 2 whales that are both 7 stars? They've both 7-starred all the marquee units. They're both at level 95. And they're just banging heads against the wall. It's like, I don't know. I'm not against there being a PvP mode, but there has to be a way of making it engaging. If we can't use the rest of our rosters, we cannot use our mods or anything like that to really influence the way those battles play out. So they do acknowledge era PvP mods can be complicated and they introduce a wide variance in player experience and competitive viability based on random rolls. Yeah, they're just talking about your mods can have a huge difference. So it wouldn't be fair, for example, if me as a 7.5 year player has got, you know, 150 plus 25 secondary speed mods faces off against Joe Bloggs, who's been playing for 2 months and has no 25 speed mods. Like, he wouldn't stand a snowball's chance in hell. So they say they are going to do something about that by not letting us use mods. Any era PvP will be introduced alongside a new system for stat differentiation among era units that allow era PvP to be an intriguing competitive landscape for players to deeply engage with. Yeah, so they said we'll have a way for you to differentiate. It can't just be tied to whaling, though. That's what I mean. And they are saying they do plan to release future content like raids, territory battle planets, and units in the future through eras. Yeah, and they do mention that eras isn't going to be the be-all and end-all, right? They said we're still looking at getting raids, we're still looking at new territory battle planets, and units. I mean, I'm not sure what that means. Maybe that means conquest units, because technically that's not tied to an era. They go on to talk about Marquee cadence. Now, we know we get a new character basically every 2 weeks, right? So what they're saying is those characters will leave from being marquees and era units. They're saying marquee character shards will be farmable on a node after 13 weeks after their marquee event. Marquee character shards will become accelerated around 1 year after the start of their release era, which means Marquee characters that get released at the end of an era will technically be accelerated quite a bit quicker, about 3 months quicker, nearly, than those characters at the start, which is kind of cool, right? It's kind of cool. So it cuts down that time. And then they'll also be able to, at that point, be featured in Lightspeed tokens because they'll be legacy units. You'll be able to get characters from marquees from shipments the second week after their release era ends. So end of the era, 2 weeks after that, booyah, you'll be in shipments. Now here is a big one. They did promise us a change to the relic economy and how we'll be able to gain access to relic levels and relic additional characters and getting the gear up and all that sort of stuff. They said their plans for improving were threefold: reduce the pinch of gear and relic materials, so just gearing a character up and then actually taking them through the relic levels, increase the inflow of relic resources to the majority of players, and then improve access to relics. Great. So how are they doing the first one, reducing the pinch of gear? This is primarily done through the new era system, I feel, because you're not really going to be spending any gear, apart from maybe gear 12 gear, to get characters to relics. So what that means, realistically speaking, that they're saying is now that you're not spending all of that gear on a new character, you're going to have more and more inflow of that gear, more and more backup of that gear. You can use that then, break it down into the Scavenger to get more relic materials to level up characters. That's going to be true for a certain amount of people, but most people will probably be spending that gear elsewhere to bring up the rest of their rosters up to like relic levels in general. Now, you'll be surprised at how quickly you'll be able to progress that way when you don't need to spend any more additional Chirotech elsewhere and your rosters grow organically and you get more access to things like Chirotech. So it is true. The fact that we're basically saying up to gear 12, you'll never have to use that gear again on new characters. Forever. It's a good change. They're also introducing more access to Lightspeed tokens. There's some really good ones coming across for the next year or so that are going to help you get Journey Guide events unlocked really quickly. And there's even going to be Lightspeed tokens that you can use on the Journey Guide event units themselves, but only once you've actually unlocked them. So you'll be able to unlock them, and then you'll be like, oh, I can take you to Relic 0 straight away. They are also removing some of the materials and signal data that are required to get to Relic 9. Now, this isn't a huge change, but it does have some level of impact. Essentially, what they're saying is when you're going from Relic 8 to Relic 9, let me just move my head real quick. When we're going from Relic 8 to Relic 9, so don't Relic 9 your characters right now, guys. This chromium transistor is being removed. This is a bit of a non-issue because chromium transistors are ridiculously easy to get. As you can see, I've got 1,300 of them. They're also removing Erodium heatsinks. Now, Erodium heatsinks are also kind of easy to get, but it's still less materials. And also, you do not need to have fragmented signal data to go to Relic 9 or Relic 10. So saving yourself 30 signal data there. Now, I know people will feel like maybe this isn't a big change, but little changes over time really do add up, especially if we're going to be using this signal data to get our new corrupted signal data, which is required for Relic 10. Now, it's a bit of we don't have all the answers right now. We don't know if the only way to get corrupted signal data is through breaking this down in the Scavenger using existing signal data. That's just one of the ways we have that recipe. I'm assuming that other game modes will still drop us signal data. So one side, they're like, let's get rid of the gear that you need to upgrade characters because new characters don't require it, lower some of the requirements to get to Relic 9, just make that a little bit more accessible. They're also saying we're going to get increased amounts of relic material inflows as well. This is a really good change. Essentially, the episode track, the free episode track, is having one part of it removed and replaced with tier 1 to 3 signal data. So, you know, your flawed, your incomplete, and your other one. And we're getting relic materials 1 to 5. So what does that mean? What does that look like? So essentially what they are saying is when you look at a character, do I have a low relic character? This is some first world problem issues right here. Do I have someone at like Relic 3? There we go. We've got Princess Leia over here at low relic level. They're saying these first 3 over here and the first 3 tiers of signal data, we're getting increased drops for these. They're going to feature in the episode track, the free episode track that everybody, even my free-to-play account, hits level 50. And that is an 11-month-old completely free-to-play account. Essentially what they're saying, all of these gear boxes are going. Why? Because we don't need this gear very much anymore. We don't need this, really. Because new characters are going to come fully geared up. You're never struggling for this gear. In these boxes, you're going to be getting relic materials 1 to 5. So, you know, your carbonite circuit boards, your bronzium ryrings, your erodium heatsinks, all that sort of thing, right? You'll get all of these in that as well as signal data. So there's 1 there, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 boxes worth of signal data and relic materials to help us level up our characters and get good relic levels. That's good. That is very good. Now, we have to reserve judgment because we don't know how much we're getting. We don't know what's the quantities and of what type. Is it going to be specific ones? Is there going to be an element of RNG in it, or is it going to be static? I'm hoping it's static. And I'm hoping it's good. Also, players engaging in daily era content will still be able to complete the episode track, and we have... And they go on to say, obviously, anybody that does daily content should be able to max out the episode track. Even free-to-play players, like I said, do it on my alt, sorry. So you should get everything each month. They're also updating episode shipments to include items like signal data, fragmented and incomplete signal data, so players can use their extra episode currency to boost their relic farms. Now, this is obviously going to be a choice. Primarily, I think this is going to benefit people that buy the episode pass, because typically if you buy the pass, you're going to have a lot of additional currency. People that don't are going to be really focused on getting ability material omicrons and things like chirotech that they need. They're not going to have necessarily spare episode currency to start willy-nilly throwing on signal data. Until we see how much signal data and how cheap it is, it's a bit hard to say if this is a win or not. It's definitely a win if you buy the pass though, because you have more episode currency than you can spend. So, improved access to relics. They are introducing 3 technically, new recipes to the Xaereth Scavenger, and this is really, really cool. Aero magnifiers now. You can use Mark 12 tactical data pad prototypes. I can't remember which ones those are. I think I know what it looks like in my head, but data pad. So these ones over here, you'll be able to break down these into aero mags at a rate of a full one, which is 50 plus some extra gear, 270 points, and you need 175 to make an aero mag, or you can use your chirotech. And this sounds wild to be thinking, oh, use my chirotech to get aero mags and droid brains? Honestly, guys, if you think about it, we're not going to be needing chirotech very much anymore. Even free-to-play people are only going to need 100 chirotech every 2 weeks when new marquees release, provided they are getting to that level 65 in the episode level for each character, because they'll come at gear 12. So you'll only need 100 chirotech per character. Obviously, you'll still need it historically for all your other characters, but it gets to a point when you don't need chirotech anymore, where you genuinely don't need chirotech. You can see I've got 6,500 of each chirotech right now, as well as a bunch of full pieces, because my roster is endgame and I don't need to worry so much about it. When you're endgame and you're earning the additional things from territory battle planets, getting additional, 20 or 50 chirotech every 2 weeks, it really adds up very, very quickly. Converting this down, this can make I can make 800, nearly 800 droid brains out of this, and probably 1,000 aero magnifiers out of what I've got right now. More than I could ever possibly need, truth be told. But the fact that previously, it was very difficult to get aero magnifiers, and especially droid brains, if you were completely free to play. If you weren't in an endgame guild, you weren't even getting the TW rewards for droid brains. It is great to be given an option for where you can get this. This is an improvement, guys, a massive improvement. Because you'll still be able to use your Mark III raid currency, right, to get the data pads, even if you don't want to use your chirotech. So theoretically, you could go through and you could use it over here, for example. You could use your, it's the Mark II, not the Mark III. You could use your Mark II currency to get this, and then you could break it down and convert it into droid brains. That's much better than just spending crystals on them. There. And then finally, we're getting a new signal data recipe. And this is the part that we need to take it with a pinch of salt, right? This is the part we need to take it with a pinch of salt, because they did say that corrupted signal data was going to be in the Xaereth Scavenger node, and that they wanted to make sure that we are not competing for relics elsewhere. But what's the point of having signal data inside the Scavenger if it requires existing signal data? Because you're still making that same sacrifice. Truth be told, you'll only ever really want to break down fragmented, which is the tier 1 signal data, because even though it's worth nearly half the flawed signal data, the drop rate of this is so much greater than the drop rate of flawed signal data. So just use your fragmented, especially because now you're not going to require it for Relic 9 and Relic 10. That's where you're going to want to convert. But I am very hopeful that corrupted signal data will still come from errors somehow. You know, either through error challenges, the error shipment store, through Coliseum, through any of that business. They better be giving us a different source of corrupted signal data, because otherwise they've just undermined what they said when they said we wouldn't be competing for, you know, relicking current or like getting characters up to Relic 7, 8, 9 compared to Relic 10. Because there's no point in us, you know, you might as well at this point have just put corrupted signal data on a Cantina node. But hey, we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see. I'm sure there will be more options for corrupted signal data that exist outside of the Jawa Scavenger. We'll also be getting updates to the raid shipments. Electrum conductors and Zimbiddles are being changed from costing Mark III reg tokens to Mark II. So Electrums and Zimbiddles. So these ones over here and these ones. Currently, they are Raid Mark III currency. They're going to Raid Mark II currency. Now, you do get a lot more Raid Mark II currency than you do Raid Mark III. But Mark II currency is still really, really valuable for getting characters to relics. This is how we get like our Gear 12s and our Gear 12 plus pieces to relic characters. So if we're going to be competing between getting a character to relic and getting the actual relic materials to level them up to higher relics, I feel like this is a bit of a conflict. And I don't think it's actually necessarily a straight win. All right, this next one over here, though, is a massive win. The fact that a Zimbiddle card cost is going to be 100 Mark II, by the way, that's actually really cool. What is it currently? A Zimbiddle is currently 250 for 2. Now, I don't know if it means 1 is going to be 100, which means 2 is going to be 200 Mark II. We get a lot more of this, like I said, compared to your Mark III. So we are getting definitely more value, but it's just going to be a tougher choice. It's going to be a tougher choice. This next one is a huge win. Carbonite circuit boards, bronzium wirings. Nobody really cares about chromium transistors or rhodium heatsinks. These ones over here, guys, don't spend your Mark I currency on this. It's still a ripoff. You still might as well just do the usual way you get those. I've gone over that countless times. But CCBs and bronzium wirings are now going to cost Mark I tokens. 35 Mark tokens for one carbonite circuit board is a big win. Currently, it's an absolute ripoff. 2 of these for 800 Mark II, complete ripoff. Now it's going to be 35 for 1, I guess, so 70 for 2 of the Mark I currency, which we get loads of. I currently just spend it on credits because I got nothing else to really spend it on. I was like, I might as well. So now that I can spend it on CCBs and on bronzium wirings, that's a really, really big win. That's a big win for everybody. Huge, especially early game accounts. Now, like I said, the chromium transistors and the rhodium heatsinks, you still don't want to be spending your raid currency on them. Now, also, currently, we can only go to Relic 4 if you're at 6 stars, I believe. Now you can do it at 5 stars. Previously, Relic 5, you could only do it if you were 7 stars. Now you can go to Relic 5 at 6 stars. This is a nice change. This is a nice change. I don't think this is a drastic change, but hey, why not? Get us to Relic 5. That means we can then use them in Datacrons, for example. So then they go on to talk about Relic Delta. This is the final position we landed at for the Relic Delta differences. If you compare this to their first instance, this is a massive improvement. Relics Deltas of 1 or 2 are going to be absolutely fine. 3 is where it gets tricky. 4 is when you basically can't win. And 5 is you're really not going to win. This is okay. We'll be okay, especially with all of the additional access that we're getting to relics now. I feel like this is going to be a less of an issue. Is it a perfect system? No, it's far from perfect. But it's coming, it's here. This will be live in 2 weeks' time, basically. But not for Conquest. It won't be live for the entirety of the Stranger's Conquest, only afterwards. They said, thanks to your feedback, we lowered the overall impact of these modifiers and lower relic differences and reduced their power at the top. Even now, the numbers above are something that we will monitor closely to ensure there is a robust meta based on squad synergy and strategy that respects players' abilities to theorycraft and push squads to their limits. Yep, I mean, I was part of that tester program, as you guys know. I think it was a worthwhile thing, and I hope they do this for more changes in the future, if only that we have a seat at that table, right? So then they're just saying, because we're getting this new error system in place and a bunch of error materials, the episode track, free and paid, are going to introduce even more relic material, even more error materials, to help with our marquee characters to make them better. Never has it been more important to focus on getting that that episode track filled out. The price of the Pass Plus and the Pass will not change or anything like that, so that's good to see. We're just getting more value, basically. And because obviously now we are only running one one error challenge per 4 galactic challenges previously. The amount of episode points that we get from completing those is being adjusted. You can see getting 5,000 episode points up from 2. Is it a direct comparison? No, but I think the whole system's going to change. Overall, they're saying end result is we get an increased income of about 50 episode points per day. So basically, we're going to be earning more episode points overall. It's going to be easier to max out that track, if slightly. Lightspeed tokens are changed to give more stuff. Even tier 1, which used to be gear 10, is now going to be gear 12. Tier 2, the bronzium ones go to relic 1. Tier 3 goes to relic 3. 4 goes to relic 5. And 5 goes to relic 6. Good changes overall. Hopefully they introduce more free-to-play ways of getting these Lightspeed tokens. Let's talk about the big thing then, the new units that are coming in. We already talked about it briefly, but we're getting Stormtrooper Luke, IG-90, Yoda and Chewie, Asajj Ventress, Inquisitor Barriss, and Darth Vader Dual Zend. As we know, Stormtrooper Luke over here, he's going to be a rebel squad with Princess Leia, Stormtrooper Han, and R2-D2 and Old Ben. Really, really cool early game team, I'm sure. Very excited about that. IG-90, he's going to be rocking it up with Dr. Aphra as a tank. Huge win. Yoda and Chewie is going to be going towards Tarful. Tarful is like the one squad I don't use. I've never used it. My Tarful's still at gear 12 from unlocking Jedi Knight Cal, so looking forward to that. Asajj Ventress is going to be boosting Scion of Django. Here's a conquest unit that everybody has made fun of. Sort him out, sort Trench out, people are going to be happy. Inquisitor Barriss, this one is kind of weird because she's going to be helping Inquisitors in 3v3, but then she's also going to be helping out Seer Junda, which technically has recently lost Starkiller in 3v3. That's still really cool. That's really cool. And then finally, the really cool one, Darth Vader Dual Zend. Because Starkiller is getting removed out of a Palpatine team, we are getting Darth Vader to replace. I am really looking forward to seeing how that kit plays out. Hopefully it's a banging kit. And then finally, we're getting Spiderlegs Maul as the legendary unit. This guy is going to operate under Stranger's lead as a Dark Side Unaligned Force user. Really cannot wait to see how this guy plays out. The artwork looks absolutely freaking sick. Super, super stoked about this. I haven't been more excited about Marquee characters in a long time. This structure of, hey, let's give you 6 units that boost 6 different teams and then finishes off with a really strong legendary unit is the best way to do Marquees. Such a great difference compared to when we were looking at things like, let's get some pirates in and let's get some more pirates in. It's like, nobody cares. Give us this. Give us this and we are happy chappies. Now, if I can just get proxy in the game, I'll be a very happy man. So this current era Coliseum battles, they're going to have the Dryax, the Hotaz, the Pirate ATST, and the Zepho Tomb Guardians. That's okay. We're also going to be getting boatloads of anniversary rewards, and it's going to bleed well into next year. These new anniversary rewards have got quest chains that have started with them, and we get Lightspeed tokens for them, for free. Lightspeed tokens, check it out. Hera Syndulla. So you get basically the Phoenix squad, a Lightspeed token for each of them, starting from November 18th, one a week basically, one every 2 weeks, sorry. We're also getting 10 Zeta mats and 3 ability materials, Omicrons, sorry. For every 2 weeks we're getting that. That's a huge, huge win. Because you get these characters, all the Lightspeed tokens, and look at the end, you even get Captain Rex, then you can use a Rebel Lightspeed token and an Emperor Palpatine Lightspeed token. So you can use your Phoenix to unlock Palpatine and then use the Palpatine Lightspeed token, boom, straight away. That's so huge. That is so huge. These Lightspeed tokens are set at gear 13, basically. So you won't need any gear at all. They'll just be Relic 0. Relic 0 Hera, Relic 0 Hera, Sabine, Ezra, Chopper, Captain Rex. Really, really solid team. Really solid team right there. It's a shame Kanan isn't on that list. I would have preferred Kanan over Ezra, but hey, whatever. And then you can get yourself a Rebel Lightspeed token, which technically you could use on Kanan if you wanted to, or you could use it on any non-legendary sort of Rebel. And then you get Palpatine as a Lightspeed token. All of them straight up to gear 13. After you've done that, look what we're getting. We're getting Snips, Jedi Knight Anakin, Mace, Shaq, Kelleran, then a Jedi Lightspeed token, and you get Grandmaster Yoda. Now, Grandmaster Yoda is a super easy to unlock legendary, one of the easiest, but you can still get him straight up to relics. All these characters to relics. These are really useful characters to have. Snips and Jedi Knight Anakin form part of a Kelleran Beck team, form part of a Galactic Republic fleet. Mace Windu, Capital Ship, Shaq T, required for gas. Also just a really good unit in general. Can also be used in the raid. Kelleran Beck, required for Bo-Katan Mandalore as well. Has a load of Kyrotech requirements, so does Shaq T. Like, these are really, really solid wins, guys. Really solid wins. getting a bunch of legendaries. This one, the best one out of all of them. Check it out. We get all of the Inquisitors. Every 2 weeks, 10 ability materials for Zetas, 3 for Omicrons. You get 8th brother, 9th sister, 5th brother, 7th sister, 2nd sister, and an Empire Lightspeed token, and an R2-D2 one. Technically speaking, you could probably use that Empire Lightspeed token to use it on Grand Inquisitor, because you'll have him unlocked, boom, straight in there. I'm just like, this is such a big win. You are saving yourself 400 Chirotech per Inquisitor here. You'll be able to get Grand Inquisitor, then you'll be able to go ahead and unlock Reaver for free. Like, that is so good. That is so good, guys. So good. Then we get Princess Leia, Farm Boy Luke, Old Ben Kenobi, Stormtrooper Han, Admiral Akbar. Then you get a droid one. You could use it on R2-D2 if you wanted to. Commander Luke Skywalker gets one. We're getting a bunch of free legendary units. Then we get Boba Fett and Bosk, IG-88, Dengar, Fennec, Bounty Hunter 1. Chewbacca is unlocked. This also helps you massively if you're pushing for the Executor. Basically a free Executor unlock. Now, don't get me wrong, this is basically the end of next year now. You know, we're looking all the way over here now. Not the end of next year, sorry, the end of this era. But this is just, it's so good. And it still doesn't end. Look, you get the Mandalorian, Cara Dune, IG-11, Queel, Grief Karga, Mando. I mean, this one over here is Beskar Mando, you know? So, again, helps you get the Razor Crest, helps you get Executor, gives you a really solid team all at Relic 0, saves hundreds upon hundreds of Chirotech. It's so good. Now, they go on to talk just a little bit about their theory, their thesis for how they want to build this game. Pillars of seasonality. They want to talk about how seasonal play is for everybody, which is why, you know, they've separated the era content from what we're doing currently. They want people to enjoy and have fun in the game. They want people to have experiences in Star Wars stories. They want more story-based content in the game. And then they want to show that eras are the most effective way for players to progress. Focus on new content, doesn't cost you your new content materials, and it will benefit your roster in the long run. Really cool stuff. So that is the thing, and this is an hour-long video. I'm going to have to cut it down. Guys, I hope this was useful to you. Really is. I do feel very, very positive about the future of the game. If they are willing to put this much effort into their 10-year anniversary, I can see this game being around for another 5 to 10 years again. So huge, huge. I know not everybody's going to like every change, but I really am curious to see your content, your thoughts. What do you think about this era? What do you like? What do you dislike? Come join me on my Discord. Have a chinwag with me. I love you.